The Detroit Lions and Ben Johnson exposed Brian Flores' defense by gashing them in this one key way. And it's a big reason why the Minnesota Vikings could not pull off a win against the Detroit Lions to stay in first place. Let's talk about it. The Minnesota Vikings lost a close game to their NFC North rival, the Detroit Lions, by a score of 31-29. And a big reason why was Brian Flores' defense continues to be gashed within breaking routes. Yes, when you watch the final 4 games of last season, you saw route concepts like dagger just absolutely destroy the Vikings over the middle of the field. That spot, 15-ish yards down the field, right on the hash, where you have those deep dig routes. The Vikings continue to be gashed there because of their love of aggressive blitzing and Tampa 2 coverage. Now, one of the tough parts about having this conversation with the Minnesota Vikings is they are really, really good at running those coverages. But the problem is, if you can't get home against a great offensive line like the Detroit Lions have, they can gash you. They can absolutely gash you. And they did. Jared Goff was fantastic again, 22 of 25 for 280 yards and 2 touchdowns. And they were gashing the Minnesota Vikings left and right down the field by protecting Goff. Now, one of the tough parts is when you parse out some of the pressure numbers that the Vikings had. Pro Football Focus had their grades finalized just a few minutes after the game ended, and the Vikings got 16 pressures on 29 Jared Goff dropbacks. 16. That is a significant amount. However, you have to consider that a couple of them came on singular plays. So when Andrew Van Ginkel and Jonathan Gennard ended up tag teaming for the sack, 2 pressures on 1 play. Plus, not all pressures are created equal. You can get pressure, and Goff can still step up in the pocket and deliver the football. Think of the Jonathan Gennard missed strip sack where he went for the strip and could not deliver. Those factor in such a big way. And while we talk about pressure with some of these, the Minnesota Vikings need to get pressure in order to alleviate the coverage on the back end. When you are so aggressive, you need to get home. You need to alter the quarterback. And if you don't, that's what happens. You gash Brian Flores' defense. And they did just that. Ben Johnson called a phenomenal football game. And as a Vikings fan and analyst, it sucks. You don't like to see people be able to pick you apart that way. But that's exactly what Ben Johnson did here. All the first 3 touchdowns were fantastic play calls. The Jahmyr Gibbs toss, you had a run blitz coming from Josh Metellus on that side, crashing in on the tackle. Well, guess what? Gibbs is running right around that. Perfect. The Jahmyr Gibbs run up the middle on 3rd down. Well, guess what? There's nobody in the middle. Why is there nobody in the middle when this is a running football team and they love to gash you with power? That's a frustrating thing in itself. And the Amon-Ra St. Brown touchdown, that I don't know who's responsible for yet, but we're going to find out. Somebody did not carry Amon-Ra St. Brown. Byron Murphy did his best to come over the top and be able to stop it. Somebody was supposed to carry him, whether it was Josh Metellus, Cam Bynum, and the fact that they didn't is a big reason why that play got where it did. But the Vikings got pressure, and they did not get home. That's the big thing here. If the Vikings get pressure, none of this matters. None of it. Because if the Vikings get pressure, guess what? They're impacting quarterbacks like they have the first 5 games of the season. They are making these quarterbacks make quick decisions. They're making them throw short. They're not allowing them to throw deep. And when they do, the Vikings are taking advantage with interceptions. This game is a good learning experience because they were not able to get home against a great offensive line. And Brian Flores is going to be able to use this tape to understand, okay, what went wrong? How can we adjust and adapt when we continue to face really good offensive lines and teams that love to run in breakers? Because guess what? They're going to have one in just a few days with the Los Angeles Rams. They're going to have one. How are they going to modify that? How are they going to grow, evolve, and adapt? I'm not 100% sure because Tampa 2 has been a staple for Brian Flores. They are running more too high this year than they have previously. Technically, Tampa 2 is cover 3, but not the way it's charted. It is a too high safety look. How are the Vikings going to handle this? I don't know, but I trust Brian Flores to be able to figure it out because he improved this scheme significantly when he got better personnel. And I think he's going to be able to adapt significantly as well. Only time will tell. But this raises a major cause for concern moving forward for the Minnesota Vikings. I'm Tyler Forness of ADC Sports. Skol Vikings.